The bookstore had always been my sanctuary. Every morning when I unlocked the front door and stepped inside, the smell of old paper and ink wrapped around me like a familiar blanket. There was something about books that made sense to me in a way people never quite did. Books were honest. They told you their stories without pretense, without hiding anything. You knew exactly what you were getting. I stood behind the counter that Tuesday afternoon, organizing receipts from the morning rush. The winter light coming through the windows was already fading, even though it was barely past 4. That was December in Madison. The sun gave up early, leaving behind a heavy blue darkness that settled over everything like a weighted blanket. My copper hair kept falling into my face as I worked. I'd meant to tie it back that morning but forgot. It hung just past my shoulders now, getting in my way as I sorted through the small stack of papers. I pushed it behind my ear for the third time in 5 minutes. You know that's never going to stay, right? I looked up. Corinne was leaning against the counter, her arms crossed, a knowing smile on her face. She'd worked at the bookstore for 2 years now, and in that time she'd made it her personal mission to drag me out of my shell. Most days I appreciated it. Some days I found it exhausting. "What do you want, Corinne?" "Wow, rude," she laughed. "I want you to come out tonight." "Where?" "The Copper Mug. Everyone's going. It'll be fun." I went back to the receipts. "I have inventory to finish." "Freya, you always have inventory to finish." "That's not a real excuse, and you know it." She wasn't wrong. There was always something to do at the bookstore. Shelves to organize, orders to place, displays to update. I could find a reason to stay busy every single night if I wanted to. And most nights, I did want to. "I don't know," I said, not looking at her. "Come on, it's just drinks. 2 hours. Then you can go home and count your books in peace, like the hermit you are." I felt a small smile tug at my lips, despite myself. Corinne had this way of being pushy without being annoying. It was a talent, really. "Who's going?" I asked, still not committing. "Me, obviously. Thessaly from the coffee shop next door, Bryn and Kendrick from the night shift. A few others." She tilted her head, studying me. "You need this, Freya. When's the last time you went out and actually had fun?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. I couldn't remember. My life had become a loop of predictable comfort. Wake up, go to work, come home, read, sleep, repeat. There was safety in that routine. No surprises, no disappointments. No one asking more of me than I was willing to give. But there was also a loneliness I didn't like admitting to. "Fine," I said finally. "But just for 2 hours." Corinne's face lit up. "Yes, okay, we're leaving at 8. Meet us there, or I'm literally coming to your apartment and dragging you out." "I'll be there. You better be." "I'm not above public embarrassment, Freya. I will make a scene." She grabbed her coat from the hook near the back and headed toward the door, throwing me one last grin over her shoulder before disappearing into the cold. I finished closing out the register and locked the front door at exactly 6. The street outside was quiet, just a few cars passing through the slush that had built up from the afternoon snow. I pulled my coat tight around me and started the walk to my apartment. It was only 2 blocks away. That was one of the things I loved about living in this part of Madison. Everything I needed was within walking distance. The bookstore, the grocery store, a few small restaurants, the library. I didn't need much beyond that. My apartment was on the 2nd floor of an old building that had been converted years ago. The stairs creaked when I climbed them, and the radiator in my living room hissed and clanked like it had a grudge against the world. But it was mine, small and quiet, and exactly what I needed. I made tea and sat by the window, watching the snow fall in lazy spirals under the streetlights. My phone buzzed on the table next to me. Corinne had already sent 3 messages. "Don't bail. Seriously, Freya, I'm watching you. I have spies everywhere." I smiled and set the phone down. She really did know me too well. By 7:30, I was staring at my closet, trying to decide what to wear. It was just a bar. Just drinks with coworkers, nothing fancy. but I still wanted to look decent. I settled on jeans and a dark green sweater that Corinne had once told me brought out the brown in my eyes. I tied my hair back this time, though a few strands still managed to escape and frame my face. Good enough. I pulled on my boots and grabbed my coat and scarf. The walk to the copper mug took about 15 minutes. The cold bit at my face and hands, even through my gloves. By the time I reached the bar, my cheeks were numb, and I could see my breath hanging in the air like small clouds. The warmth hit me the moment I stepped inside. It was loud, the kind of noise that came from dozens of conversations happening at once, all blending together into a low hum. The smell of beer and fried food hung heavy in the air. I spotted Corinne almost immediately. She was sitting at a corner table with Thessaly and Bryn, all of them laughing at something I'd missed. Corinne saw me and waved me over with an exaggerated motion, like I might somehow miss her in the crowd. "You came," she said, as I slid into the booth next to her. "I honestly didn't think you'd show. You threatened me with public embarrassment. I didn't have a choice, smart woman." Thessaly pushed a menu toward me. "We already ordered appetizers. You want a drink?" "Just a beer. Whatever's on tap." The conversation flowed easily after that. Work, gossip mostly. Thessaly complained about a difficult customer at the coffee shop. Bryn talked about some guy who'd asked for her number 3 times in 1 week. Kendrick, who'd been quiet up until now, chimed in with a story about finding a raccoon in the dumpster behind the bookstore last month. I laughed at the right moments and sipped my beer and let the noise wash over me. It felt good to be out, even if part of me was already thinking about going home. That's when I saw her. She was sitting at a table near the back with a group of friends. I don't know what made me notice her at first. Maybe it was the way she laughed. It was loud and unrestrained, the kind of laugh that made other people turn and look. Not because it was obnoxious, but because it was so genuine, so full of joy. She had dreadlocks that fell past her shoulders, dark at the roots and fading to a light ash blonde at the ends. She wore a thick scarf wrapped loosely around her neck and a leather jacket that looked worn in all the right ways. Her hands moved as she talked, gesturing wildly, her whole body animated. I couldn't stop looking at her. There was something magnetic about the way she existed in the space, like she took up more room than her physical body did, like her energy expanded beyond her and filled the whole corner of the bar. Corinne nudged me. "Earth 2, Freya." I blinked and turned back to the table. "What?" "You completely zoned out." "I asked if you wanted another drink." "Oh no, I'm good." But I wasn't good. My heart was beating faster than it should have been. My palms felt damp. I told myself it was just the heat of the bar, the closeness of so many bodies in one space. But I knew that wasn't true. I glanced back toward the woman's table. She was standing now, pulling on her coat. Her friends were still sitting, saying their goodbyes. She slung her bag over her shoulder and headed toward the door, weaving through the crowd with practiced ease. And then it happened. Her wallet slipped out of her bag. It hit the floor with a soft thud that I shouldn't have been able to hear over the noise of the bar. But somehow I did. She didn't notice. She kept walking toward the door, already halfway through it by the time the wallet had fully settled on the ground. I stood up without thinking. "Freya, where are you going?" Corinne called after me. I didn't answer. I was already moving, pushing past people, my eyes locked on the wallet lying there on the scuffed wooden floor. I grabbed it and shoved my way through the door into the cold night air. She was a few steps ahead, her hands shoved in her pockets, her breath visible in the freezing air. "Wait," I called out, my voice cutting through the quiet street. She turned around, surprised. I held up the wallet, my hand shaking slightly from the cold. Or maybe from something else. "You dropped this." Her eyes widened and she walked back toward me, her boots crunching in the snow. "Oh my God," she said, taking the wallet from my hand. Her fingers brushed mine for just a second. They were warm despite the cold. I didn't even realize. Thank you so much. It's no problem. She looked at me then, really looked at me, and smiled. It was the kind of smile that felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. Thank you, beautiful. And then she turned and walked away, disappearing into the snowy night. I stood there for a long moment, my heart pounding, my breath coming out in short bursts. Beautiful. She'd called me beautiful. When I went back inside, Corinne was staring at me like I'd just done something completely insane. What the hell was that? She asked as I sat back down. She dropped her wallet. So I gave it back to her. Corinne leaned closer, her eyes narrowing. Freya, you ran after her like your life depended on it. I did not. You absolutely did. She grinned. Who was she? I don't know. Just someone. But she wasn't just someone. Even then, I knew that. I tried to focus on the conversation at the table, but my mind kept drifting back to her, the sound of her laugh, the way her smile had lit up her whole face, the word beautiful hanging in the air between us. By the time I left the bar an hour later, I still couldn't stop thinking about her. I walked home through the quiet streets, the snow falling softly around me, and wondered if I'd ever see her again. The next few days passed in a blur of routine. I opened the bookstore each morning, helped customers, restocked shelves, closed up each night. Everything was exactly the same as it always was, except it wasn't, because I couldn't stop thinking about her. It was ridiculous. I knew that. We'd had maybe a 30-second interaction. She'd thanked me and walked away. That should have been the end of it. A brief moment that faded into nothing. But it didn't fade. Every time I had a quiet moment, my mind drifted back to that night outside the bar. The way she'd looked at me, the warmth in her voice when she'd called me beautiful, the feeling that had shot through my chest when our fingers had touched. I told myself to let it go, to move on, to stop being ridiculous, but I couldn't. On Thursday afternoon, Corinne caught me staring out the window for the third time in an hour. Okay, what's going on with you? She asked, plopping down in the chair across from my desk in the back office. Nothing. Liar, you've been weird all week. I sighed and set down the order form I'd been pretending to work on. It's stupid. Try me. It's about that woman from the bar. Corinne's eyes lit up. Wallet girl, don't call her that. Fine, mystery woman. What about her? I can't stop thinking about her, okay? So it's stupid. I don't even know her name. I'll never see her again. It was just a random moment. Corinne leaned back in her chair, studying me. When's the last time you had a crush on someone? I thought about it. Really thought about it. I don't know, years. Exactly. So maybe this isn't stupid. Maybe this is just you finally feeling something again. I wanted to argue with her, to tell her she was reading too much into it. But deep down, I knew she was right. I had been numb for so long, going through the motions of life without really feeling anything. Work, home, books, sleep, repeat. It was safe. It was predictable. But it was also empty. What am I supposed to do about it? I asked. I don't even know who she is. The universe has a funny way of working things out, Corinne said with a shrug. Maybe you'll see her again. Maybe you won't. But at least you're feeling something. That weekend, I decided to go to the East Town Mall. I needed new gloves. Mine had a hole in the thumb and the Wisconsin winter wasn't forgiving. I also needed a new scarf, and maybe some other things I hadn't thought of yet. Really, I just needed to get out of my apartment. The mall was packed. Families with kids running around, teenagers in groups, couples walking hand in hand. Holiday shopping was in full swing, even though Christmas was still weeks away. I wandered through a few stores without much purpose. I picked up gloves in 3 different colors and couldn't decide which ones I wanted. I looked at scarves, but nothing felt right. I was about to give up and go home when I saw her. She was standing near a display of winter coats in one of the department stores, running her hand over the fabric of a dark green jacket. Her dreadlocks were pulled back today into a loose ponytail, and she wore a chunky knit sweater that looked handmade. those same worn boots from the bar. My heart stopped. For a moment I considered just walking away, pretending I hadn't seen her, going home and forgetting this whole thing. But I didn't. I walked over, my palms sweating despite the cold air blowing from the mall's ventilation system. "Hey," I said, my voice coming out quieter than I intended. She looked up, confused at first. Then recognition dawned on her face, and she broke into that same brilliant smile from the bar. "Oh my God, wallet girl." I laughed despite my nerves. "I guess that's me." She stuck out her hand. "I'm Zaria. I can't believe I didn't introduce myself the other night. That was so rude of me." "Freya," I said, shaking her hand. Her grip was firm and warm and confident. "Freya," she repeated, like she was testing how it felt in her mouth. "I like that. It's different." "Thanks. So is Zaria. My mom was really into unique names. I have a brother named Kale and a sister named Lyric." She went all out. I smiled. There was something so easy about talking to her, like we'd known each other for longer than 2 brief encounters. "So what brings you here?" she asked, gesturing around at the store. "Gloves, and maybe a scarf. Winter essentials. Smart. I'm trying to convince myself I need this coat." She held up the green jacket. "But honestly, I probably don't. I'm leaving for Arizona next week for work." "What do you do?" "Freelance event setup. Music festivals mostly. Sometimes weddings or corporate stuff. Basically, I travel around and help build stages and set up sound systems and tear it all down when it's over." "That sounds exhausting." She laughed. "It is, but it's also amazing. I get to see new places all the time, meet new people, never get bored." I tried to imagine living like that, always moving. It sounded simultaneously thrilling and terrifying. "What about you?" she asked. "What do you do?" "I manage a bookstore. Nothing as exciting as traveling the country." "Are you kidding? That's so cool. I love bookstores. They have this vibe, you know? Like time moves differently inside them." "That's exactly how I feel," I said, surprised. Most people didn't get it. "So you must read a ton, all the time." "It's kind of my thing." "I wish I read more," she said, setting the jacket back on the rack. "I always say I'm going to, but then life gets busy and I forget." "What kind of books do you like?" "I don't really know. I haven't read enough to figure it out." She turned to face me fully, her brown eyes bright with interest. "Recommend me something." I thought for a moment, trying to figure out what would suit her. Someone who moved through the world with so much energy and joy. "There's this book about 2 women who meet on a cross-country road trip," I said. "It's about finding yourself and taking chances and not being afraid of the unknown." "That sounds perfect." She pulled out her phone. "What's it called?" I told her, and she typed it into her notes app. "I'll actually read this one, I promise." I didn't fully believe her, but it was sweet that she said it. "Hey," she said suddenly, "do you want to grab coffee or something? There's a place downstairs." My heart jumped. "Yeah, sure." We made our way through the mall, past holiday displays and shoppers laden with bags. Zaria talked the whole time, telling me about the festival she was heading to in Arizona, about how she'd once worked a show where the headline act showed up 6 hours late and drunk, about a trip she'd taken to Portland where she'd gotten lost in a forest for 3 hours. She had this way of making everything sound like an adventure. We found a small cafe near the food court and ordered. She got some kind of bright pink iced drink, even though it was 20 degrees outside. I got tea. We sat by the window overlooking the parking lot. Outside, people hurried to their cars, their arms full of shopping bags, their breath fogging in the cold air. "So tell me about you," Zaria said, leaning forward with her elbows on the table. "What's Freya's story?" "There's not much to tell. I grew up here in Madison, studied literature in college, got a job at the bookstore and never left." "Do you like it?" "Yeah, I do. It's quiet, predictable. I know all the regular customers by name." "That sounds nice," she said. And she seemed to mean it. What about you? Where are you from? Milwaukee originally, but I left as soon as I could. I was never good at staying in one place. She stirred her drink with her straw. My family thought I was crazy for not getting a real job, but I couldn't do the whole 9 to 5 thing. It felt like dying slowly. I understood that, even if my own choices had been the opposite. I'd picked stability, safety, a life I could predict and control. She'd picked freedom. We talked for over an hour. She asked me about my favorite books, my favorite customers, what I did when I wasn't working. I asked her about the craziest place she'd ever been, the best concert she'd ever seen, what it was like to never have a permanent home. When we finally left, the sun was starting to set. The sky outside was painted in shades of pink and orange, the winter light soft and fleeting. "Can I get your number?" Zaria asked as we stood near the parking lot. My heart did that thing again, where it felt like it might actually burst out of my chest. "Yeah, of course." She handed me her phone, and I typed in my number with shaking fingers. She sent me a text right away. "Now you have mine too." I smiled, trying to play it cool, even though I felt like I might actually float away. "I'll see you around, Freya." "Yeah, see you." I watched her walk to her car, an old beat-up Honda with stickers covering the bumper. She waved before getting in, and I waved back. I stood there in the cold for a long time after she drove away, my phone clutched in my hand, feeling like something fundamental had just shifted in my life. Zaria texted me that night. I was home, curled up on my couch with a book I'd been trying to finish for weeks, when my phone buzzed. "Hey beautiful, thanks for hanging out today. I had a really good time." I read the message 3 times before I could figure out how to respond. "Beautiful," she'd called me that again. "Me too. It was nice running into you." Her response came immediately. "Nice. Just nice." "I'm offended." I smiled. "Okay, it was great." "Better. So when can I see you again?" My heart jumped. "When do you leave for Arizona?" "Wednesday, but I'm free this weekend. Let me take you out." A real date this time. A real date. I stared at the words, trying to process them. "Yeah, I'd like that." "Perfect. I'll find us something fun. Trust me." I wanted to trust her. And in that moment, I did. The next few days passed in a strange haze. I went to work, helped customers organize shelves, but my mind was somewhere else entirely. It was on Zaria, on her laugh, on the way she'd looked at me in the cafe, on the word beautiful and what it meant coming from her. Corinne noticed immediately. "Okay, you're glowing," she said on Tuesday afternoon. "What happened?" I ran into her. "Wallet girl. Her name is Zaria." Corinne's eyes went wide. "Oh my God. Tell me everything." So I did. I told her about the mall, about the coffee, about the texts, about the date we had planned for Saturday. "This is amazing," Corinne said, practically bouncing. "You're actually putting yourself out there." "I know, it's terrifying." "It's supposed to be terrifying. That's how you know it matters." Saturday came and I spent way too long getting ready. I changed outfits 4 times before settling on jeans and a burgundy sweater that Corinne had once said looked good on me. I left my copper hair down, using a straightener to smooth out the waves. I put on just enough makeup to feel confident but not overdone. When I looked in the mirror, I barely recognized myself. I looked hopeful. Zaria picked me up at 7. She was driving that same old Honda, the one with the dent in the side door and the stickers all over the bumper. She honked twice and I grabbed my coat and headed downstairs. When I got in the car, she was grinning at me. "You look amazing." "Thanks. So do you." And she did. She was wearing a thick flannel jacket over a faded band t-shirt. Her dreadlocks were loose today, falling over her shoulders in thick ropes. She smelled like coconut and something earthy and warm. "So where are we going?" I asked as she pulled away from the curb. "It's a surprise." "I don't like surprises." She laughed. "You'll like this one." We drove through Madison as the sun set, the streetlights flickering on one by one. She had music playing, something indie and rhythmic that I didn't recognize but liked immediately. She sang along under her breath, tapping her fingers on the steering wheel in time with the beat. Finally, she pulled into a parking lot near the Capitol Square. There was a small bar I'd never noticed before, tucked between two larger buildings. A hand-painted sign above the door read the Blue Note. "Live music," she said as we got out of the car. "I figured you might like something a little different from your usual quiet nights." How do you know what my usual nights are like? Lucky guess. Inside, the bar was small and dimly lit. A tiny stage was set up in the corner where a local band was finishing their sound check. There were maybe 30 people scattered around at tables and the bar, all talking and laughing and drinking. It felt warm, alive. We found a spot near the back and ordered drinks. Zaria got a whiskey sour and I got a glass of wine. The band started playing and they were actually good. Bluesy and soulful, with a female vocalist who had a voice that made your chest ache. Zaria sang along to a few of the songs, her voice blending with the crowd. I watched her more than I watched the band. There was something about the way she moved, completely unself-conscious, completely free, like she didn't care what anyone thought of her, like she was just existing in the moment and enjoying it fully. I envied that. At some point during the second set, she leaned close to my ear so I could hear her over the music. "You having fun?" "Yeah, I really am." "Good. You looked like you needed to get out of your head for a while." She wasn't wrong. When the band took a break, we stepped outside for air. The cold felt good after the warmth of the crowded bar. Zaria lit a cigarette and leaned against the brick wall. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Sure. What made you run after me that night, at the bar?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. "I don't know. I just saw your wallet fall, and I didn't think. I just did it. Most people wouldn't have bothered. Maybe." She took a drag from her cigarette and exhaled slowly. "I'm glad you did. Me too." We stood there in the cold for a while, not saying much, just existing next to each other. It felt comfortable in a way I hadn't expected. When we went back inside, she reached for my hand. I let her take it. Her palm was warm against mine, her fingers lacing through my own like they belonged there. We stayed until the bar closed. Then she drove me home, the radio playing softly between us. When she pulled up outside my building, she turned to face me. "I had a really good time tonight." "Me too." She hesitated for just a moment, like she was trying to decide something. Then she leaned in and kissed me. It was soft at first, tentative, like she was asking permission. I kissed her back, and that's when it deepened. Her hand came up to cup my cheek, her thumb brushing against my skin. I could taste the whiskey on her lips and smell the coconut in her hair and feel my whole body warm from the inside out. When she pulled back, she was smiling. "Text me when you get inside, okay?" I nodded, not trusting my voice. I got out of the car and walked to my door, trying not to look too eager, even though my heart was pounding so hard I thought it might actually break through my ribs. When I got upstairs, I texted her immediately. "I'm home." Her reply came within seconds. "Good sweet dreams, beautiful." I didn't have sweet dreams. I barely slept at all. I stayed up thinking about her until the sun started to rise. My lips still tingling from the kiss, my heart still racing like I'd just run a marathon. And I knew even then that I was in trouble because I was already falling, and I had no idea if she would catch me. The next morning, I woke up to 3 texts from Zaria. The first one had come in at 2 in the morning. "Can't stop thinking about you." The second, at 4. "Sorry if that was weird, but it's true." The third, at 7:30. "Good morning, beautiful. Hope you slept better than I did." I read them all lying in bed, my copper hair spread across the pillow, the winter sunlight filtering through my curtains in pale strips. My heart did that fluttering thing again, the same feeling I'd had when she kissed me last night. I typed out a response. "Good morning. I didn't sleep much either." Her reply came instantly. "Thinking about me?" I smiled. Maybe. Good. When can I see you again? You're leaving for Arizona on Wednesday. I know that's why I want to see you before I go. Tomorrow night? I should have said no. I should have played it cool, made her wait, not seemed so eager. But I didn't want to play games. Yeah, tomorrow works. Perfect. I'll pick you up at 6. I got out of bed and made coffee, my mind already racing ahead to tomorrow night. What would I wear? Where would we go? Would she kiss me again? I hoped she would kiss me again. Work that day was a blur. I helped customers without really seeing them, restocked shelves on autopilot, answered Corinne's questions with distracted half-answers. Earth to Freya, she said around noon, waving her hand in front of my face. You've been in another dimension all day. Sorry, I'm just tired. Tired, or thinking about Zaria. I felt my cheeks flush. Both. Corinne grinned. How was the date? It was good. Really good. And what? Did she kiss you? I looked away, trying to hide my smile. Yeah. Oh my God. Corinne grabbed my arm. Tell me everything. So I did. I told her about the bar, about the music, about the kiss in the car, about how I couldn't stop thinking about her, about how we were seeing each other again tomorrow. This is amazing, Corinne said. You deserve this, Freya. You deserve to be happy. I wanted to believe her. Monday night, I could barely sleep again. I kept checking my phone, waiting for another text from Zaria. She sent me a few throughout the evening, a photo of a sunset, a voice message where she was singing along to some song I didn't know, a meme that actually made me laugh out loud. She had this way of making everything feel light, easy, fun. Tuesday dragged on forever. I watched the clock at work, counting down the hours until 6. Corinne caught me checking my phone for the 10th time in an hour. You've got it bad, she said, not unkindly. I know, just be careful, okay? What do you mean? She hesitated, like she was choosing her words carefully. I just mean, don't lose yourself in this. You have a tendency to go all in when you care about someone. I barely know her. Exactly. Just take your time. I nodded, but I wasn't really listening, because I didn't want to take my time. I wanted to dive in headfirst. At 5:45, I left work and rushed home to change. I picked out a dark blue sweater and my nicest pair of jeans. I left my hair down again, running my fingers through it to give it some volume. A little makeup, not too much. When Zaria pulled up at 6, I was waiting outside. She got out of the car when she saw me, which surprised me. She was wearing ripped jeans and a black leather jacket, her dreadlocks pulled back into a messy bun. She walked toward me with that confident stride, that easy smile. And then she kissed me right there on the sidewalk. It wasn't tentative this time. It was sure, confident, like she'd been thinking about it all day and couldn't wait another second. When she pulled back, she was grinning. Hi, I managed, my head spinning. Come on. I want to take you somewhere. We drove out of the city, heading west on Highway 12. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and deep purple. She had music playing again, something with a heavy beat that made me want to move. Where are we going? I asked. You'll see. After about 20 minutes, she turned off onto a small side road. We drove past bare trees and snow-covered fields until we reached a clearing with a view of the frozen lake below. She parked and turned off the engine. Come on. We got out of the car and she opened the trunk, pulling out a thick blanket and a thermos. I know it's freezing, she said, but I thought we could watch the stars for a bit. I brought hot chocolate. My heart swelled. We spread the blanket on the hood of the car and climbed up, sitting close together. She poured hot chocolate into 2 cups and handed me one. The sky above us was clear and endless, stars scattered across the darkness like someone had thrown diamonds across velvet. This is beautiful, I said quietly. I used to come out here when I was younger, Zaria said. Whenever life got too loud, I'd drive out and just sit. It helped me remember how small everything is, how there's so much more out there than whatever I was stressing about. I sipped the hot chocolate. It was rich and sweet and warmed me from the inside out. Do you stress a lot? I asked. She laughed. Not really. I'm pretty good at letting things go, but everyone needs a place like this, you know? A place that reminds them to breathe. We sat in comfortable silence for a while, just watching the stars. Can I tell you something? She said eventually. Yeah. I really like you, Freya. My heart jumped. I know we just met. I know I'm leaving tomorrow, but I wanted you to know that. I really like you too. She turned to look at me, her brown eyes catching the moonlight. I'm not good at staying in one place. I've never been good at it. But when I'm with you, I kind of wish I was. I didn't know what to say to that, so I just leaned in and kissed her. We stayed out there for another hour, talking and kissing and drinking hot chocolate until our lips were sticky with sugar. When we finally drove back to the city, my cheeks hurt from smiling. She walked me to my door this time. I'm going to miss you, she said. How long will you be gone? 2 weeks, maybe 3. It felt like forever. Text me, I asked. Every day, I promise. She kissed me one more time, slow and deep, and then she was gone. I went upstairs and collapsed on my couch, my whole body buzzing with something I couldn't name. I was falling, fast and hard and completely out of control. And for the first time in my life, I didn't care about the landing. Zaria left for Arizona on Wednesday, and for the first few days, she kept her promise. She texted me every morning. Good morning messages with photos of the desert, the red rocks glowing in the early light. She sent me voice messages while she was driving, telling me about the festival setup, about the people she was working with, about how much she missed Madison winters. I know that sounds crazy, she said in one message, but I actually miss the cold. It's like 100 degrees here, and I'm dying. I sent her photos of the snow falling outside the bookstore, pictures of my morning coffee, screenshots of passages from books I thought she'd like. We talked on the phone twice that first week. Long conversations where she did most of the talking and I listened, content just to hear her voice. How's work? She asked during one call. Same as always. Quiet. We got a new shipment of poetry books today. Read me one? What? Read me a poem. I want to hear your voice. So I did. I grabbed the first book I could reach and read her a poem about winter and loneliness and finding warmth in unexpected places. When I finished, there was silence on the other end. That was beautiful, she said quietly. It's just a poem. No, I mean your voice. The way you read it. It's beautiful. My chest tightened. I miss you, I said before I could stop myself. I miss you too, beautiful, so much. But then things started to change. The texts became less frequent. The phone calls stopped happening. When she did text, it was shorter, less personal. Hey, busy day. Talk later. Sorry, exhausted, going to sleep. Can't talk now. Work stuff. I told myself it was fine. She was working, she was busy. I couldn't expect her to be glued to her phone all day, but it still hurt. By the end of the second week, I was checking my phone constantly, waiting for messages that came hours late or not at all. Corinne noticed. You okay? She asked one afternoon when she caught me staring at my phone for the third time in 10 minutes. Yeah, fine. Freya. I sighed. Zaria's been really distant lately. I don't know what's going on. Have you asked her? Not directly. I don't want to seem clingy. Corinne gave me a look. Wanting to hear from someone you're dating isn't clingy. It's normal. I knew she was right, but I also knew I was scared. Scared that if I pushed, Zaria would pull away completely. Scared that I'd already invested too much in someone who maybe wasn't as invested in me. That night, I sent her a message. Hey, I know you're busy, just wanted to check in. Hope you're doing okay. She didn't respond until the next morning. Yeah, all good. Sorry I've been MIA. This job has been crazy. It felt like a brush off. But I responded anyway. No worries. When are you coming back? Not sure yet. Might stay out here a bit longer. There's another gig that came up. My stomach dropped. Oh, okay. Keep me posted. Will do. And that was it. No, I miss you. No, I can't wait to see you. Just a casual will do, like I was someone she barely knew. I set my phone down and stared at the wall of my apartment, feeling something cold settle in my chest. Maybe Corinne had been right. Maybe I'd gone all in too fast. Maybe Zaria wasn't the person I thought she was. 3 weeks turned into 4. Zaria finally came back to Madison in mid-January, and when she texted to tell me, I felt relief flood through me so intense it almost hurt. I'm back. Want to see you? Tomorrow night? Yes, please. We met at a small Thai restaurant downtown. I got there first and sat at a table by the window, watching people walk past bundled in their winter coats. When Zaria walked in, my heart jumped the way it always did. She looked different somehow, tired maybe. Her dreadlocks were messier than usual, like she hadn't had time to take care of them, but she was still beautiful, still magnetic. She slid into the seat across from me and smiled. Hey, beautiful. I missed you. I missed you too. We ordered food and she told me about Arizona, about the festival, about the heat, about the people she'd met. She was animated when she talked, her hands moving in the air, her energy filling the space between us. But something felt off. Her phone kept buzzing on the table. Every few minutes, the screen would light up with a notification. She'd glance at it, sometimes typing a quick response, sometimes ignoring it completely. Popular tonight, I said, trying to keep my voice light. What? Oh yeah, just work stuff. People trying to line up the next gig. I wanted to believe her. We ate and talked, and she asked about the bookstore, about Corinne, about what I'd been reading. But I could feel her attention drifting. Her eyes kept flicking to her phone. Zaria, I said finally. Yeah. Is everything okay? What? Yeah, of course. Why? You just seem distracted. She reached across the table and took my hand. I'm sorry, I've just been all over the place lately. But I'm here now. I'm present. Except she wasn't. Not really. When we left the restaurant, she walked me to my car. She kissed me before I got in, and it felt like an apology. I'll call you tomorrow, she said. Okay? But she didn't call the next day, or the day after that. A week went by with only sporadic texts, short messages that felt obligatory rather than genuine. Hey, how's it going? Busy day. Talk soon. Miss you. But the miss you felt hollow, like something she was supposed to say rather than something she actually felt. I tried not to overthink it. I tried to give her space. I tried to be understanding, but I couldn't ignore the feeling in my gut. Something was wrong. 2 weeks after Zaria got back, she asked me for money. It came in a text late at night. I was already in bed, reading, when my phone buzzed. Hey, can I ask you something? Sure. I'm in a weird spot. My car needs repairs and I don't get paid until next week. Could you lend me $200? I'll pay you back as soon as I can. I stared at the message for a long time. $200 wasn't nothing. But it also wasn't everything. And she needed help. People helped people they cared about. That's what you did. Yeah, of course. You're a lifesaver. Seriously. Thank you so much. She sent me her information and I transferred the money that night. She sent back a string of heart emojis and a voice message. Thank you, Freya. You're amazing. I owe you big time. I went to sleep feeling good about it. Like I'd done something that mattered. Like I'd been there for someone I cared about when they needed me. But she didn't mention it again. Not the next day. Not the day after. A week passed, then 2. I didn't want to bring it up. It felt petty. She'd said she would pay me back. I believed her, but the silence around it started to feel heavy. And then she asked again. It was late February. We'd barely seen each other in weeks. Our texts had become infrequent and surface level. When we did meet up, she was always distracted, always on her phone, always rushing to the next thing. Hey, I hate to ask, but I'm in a bind again. Car trouble on top of some unexpected bills. Could you lend me another 150? I swear I'll get you everything at once when I get paid. I sat on my couch, staring at the message, my stomach twisting. I should have said no. I should have asked what happened to the money she was supposed to get paid. I should have questioned why she kept needing money when she was supposedly working all the time. But I didn't, because I loved her. And people helped people they loved. Okay, thank you so much. I'll make this up to you, I promise. I sent the money, and I felt sick about it. After I sent the second payment, Zaria disappeared for 3 days. No texts, no calls. I tried reaching out twice. Both messages went unanswered. On the 4th day, she finally responded. Sorry, things have been crazy. Miss you. That was it. No explanation. No acknowledgement of the money. No actual effort to see me or talk to me. Just miss you like that was supposed to be enough. I didn't respond right away. I sat with the hurt for a while, letting it settle into something harder. Something that looked more like anger than sadness. At work, Corin pulled me aside. Okay, what's going on? You've been walking around like a ghost for weeks. I told her everything about the money, about the distance, about how Zaria only seemed to reach out when she needed something. Corinne's expression darkened. Freya, you need to end this. I can't. Why not? Because I love her. That's not love. That's her using you. I wanted to argue. I wanted to defend Zaria, to explain that she was just going through a hard time, that she'd pay me back, that things would get better. But I couldn't, because deep down, I knew Corinne was right. That night, I tried calling Zaria. It rang twice and went to voicemail. I tried again an hour later. Same thing. I sent a text. Can we talk? I need to hear your voice. She didn't respond until the next morning. Sorry, fell asleep early. Everything okay? Everything wasn't okay. But I didn't know how to say that, so I lied. Yeah, all good. Just wanted to check in. Cool. Talk later. I set my phone down and felt something break inside me. This wasn't what I'd signed up for. This wasn't what love was supposed to feel like. I started paying more attention after that. Not just to what Zaria said, but to what she didn't say. The gaps in her stories, the times that didn't add up, the excuses that felt too convenient. One night, I was scrolling through her Instagram. I told myself I was just curious, just looking, just wanting to feel connected to her somehow. But what I found made my blood run cold. There were photos from the past few weeks, photos I hadn't seen before because she rarely posted when we were together. In one, she was at a bar with her arm around someone I didn't recognize. The caption said, "Best night with my favorite person." I'd been home alone that night, waiting for her to text me back. In another, she was at a restaurant, sitting across from someone else. Their hands were close together on the table, almost touching. The caption said, "Date night." She'd told me she was working that night. My hands started shaking. I kept scrolling. There were more. So many more. Different women in different photos. Some appeared once. Some showed up multiple times. There were inside jokes in the comments, flirty language, heart emojis, and none of them included me. I felt like I was falling, like the ground had disappeared beneath my feet and I was just tumbling through empty space. I closed the app and set my phone down, my chest tight, my breath coming in short gasps. I didn't want to believe it, but the evidence was right there. She wasn't just distant. She was lying. She'd been lying the whole time. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed staring at the dark, my mind racing through every conversation, every text, every moment we'd shared. All the times she'd said she was busy. All the times she'd canceled last minute. All the excuses that I'd accepted without question because I'd wanted so badly to believe her. None of it had been real. Or maybe it had been real for me, but not for her. Maybe I'd just been one of many. One person in a rotation she kept spinning, taking what she needed from each of us without ever giving anything back. The thought made me feel sick. When morning came, I had 3 texts from Zaria. "Good morning, beautiful. Thinking about you. When can I see you?" I stared at them, feeling nothing but a cold emptiness where my feelings for her used to be. I didn't respond. An hour later, she sent another message. "You okay? You're being quiet." Still, I didn't respond. My phone rang. It was her. I let it go to voicemail. She called again and again. Finally, on the 4th call, I answered. "Hey," she said, her voice concerned. "What's going on? You're scaring me. I saw your Instagram." There was a pause. A long one. "What about it? The photos, the comments, the other women?" Another pause. "Freya, those are just friends. Don't lie to me." My voice came out sharper than I intended, but I didn't care anymore. "I'm not lying." "Then explain it to me. Explain why you told me you were working when you were on a date with someone else. Explain why you're calling other people your favorite person. Explain why I'm not in any of your photos." Silence. "Zaria, I don't know what you want me to say. I want you to tell me the truth. Are you seeing other people?" More silence. And in that silence, I got my answer. "How many?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "Freya, how many, Zaria? It's not like that." "Then what's it like? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've been lying to me from the beginning. It looks like I'm just one person in a long line of people you're using." "I'm not using anyone. You asked me for money twice. You never paid me back. You barely talk to me unless you need something. What would you call that?" "You're being paranoid." Something inside me snapped. "I'm being paranoid? You've been lying to me for months. You've taken my money. You've ignored me. And now you're trying to make me feel crazy for noticing." "Freya, calm down." "Don't tell me to calm down." I hung up. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold the phone. I wanted to cry, but the tears wouldn't come. There was just this hollow ache in my chest where my heart used to be. I called in sick to work the next day. I couldn't face people. Couldn't pretend everything was fine. Couldn't answer Corinne's questions with anything resembling coherence. I stayed in bed, staring at the wall, my phone buzzing constantly with messages from Zaria. "Please talk to me. You're overreacting. I care about you. You know I care about you. This is all a misunderstanding. Freya, please." I turned my phone off. Around noon, there was a knock on my door. I ignored it. The knock came again, softer this time, more patient. "Freya, it's Salami." I'd barely thought about her in months. She worked at the bookstore, quiet and steady, always showing up on time, always doing her job without complaint. We'd never been close. I'd barely noticed her. I dragged myself out of bed and opened the door. She was standing there with a canvas bag in her hands, her short, dark hair tucked behind her ears, her glasses slightly fogged from the cold. "Corinne told me you weren't feeling well," she said quietly. "I brought soup." I stared at her, my throat tight. "You didn't have to do that." "I know." She stepped inside without waiting for an invitation, moving through my apartment like she'd been there before even though she hadn't. She unpacked the bag on my kitchen counter. Homemade soup in a glass container, fresh bread wrapped in a cloth, a small jar of honey, herbal tea. "You made all this?" I asked. "I like cooking. It helps me think." She heated up the soup on my stove while I sat on the couch, feeling useless and hollow. When it was ready, she brought me a bowl and sat down next to me. "Do you want to talk about it?" she asked. I shook my head. "Okay." We sat in silence while I ate. The soup was good, really good. It tasted like care, like someone had actually thought about what I might need. After a while, the tears finally came, not loud, just quiet tears that I couldn't hold back anymore. Salami didn't say anything. She just moved closer and put her hand on my shoulder. I leaned into her and let myself break. She stayed like that, solid and present, while I cried about Zaria, about the lies, about how stupid I'd been to believe any of it. When I finally ran out of tears, she handed me a tissue. "Thank you," I managed. "You don't have to thank me. Why are you being so nice to me?" She looked at me with those calm brown eyes. "Because you're hurting. And because I care about you. You barely know me. I know enough." She stayed for hours. She didn't push me to talk, didn't offer empty platitudes, didn't try to fix anything. She just stayed, and somehow that was exactly what I needed. Over the next few days, Salami checked on me constantly. She brought me lunch at work. She sent me texts asking how I was doing. She left small notes on my desk that said things like, "You're stronger than you think, and one day at a time." I started to notice things about her I'd never paid attention to before. The way she always made sure the coffee pot was full before leaving at night. The way she remembered which customers liked which genres. The way she moved through the bookstore like it was a sacred space, treating every book with care. She was kind. Genuinely kind. Not in a loud, showy way, but in a quiet, consistent way that actually mattered. One evening after we closed, she asked if I wanted to get dinner. "Just as friends," she added quickly. "No pressure." I hesitated. I wasn't ready for anything. Wasn't ready to even think about dating or relationships or trusting someone new. But dinner with a friend sounded okay. Sure. We went to a small Japanese restaurant a few blocks from the bookstore. I'd never been there before, but Salami said it was one of her favorites. We ordered and ate with our chopsticks, sharing bowls of ramen and small plates of sushi. It was warm, a little awkward at first, and completely different from the places Zaria had taken me. "Can I ask you something?" I said eventually. "Of course. Why have you been so nice to me?" She set down the piece of bread she'd been holding and looked at me directly. "Because I care about you." "But why? Do I need a reason?" "Most people do." She smiled a little. "You deserve to be cared for, Freya, even when you don't see it yourself. Especially then." I didn't know what to say to that. We finished eating and walked back through the cold streets. The snow had started falling again, soft flakes drifting down under the streetlights. When we reached my building, she stopped. "Thank you for tonight," I said. "Thank you for saying yes." I watched her walk away, her figure disappearing into the snow, and felt something shift inside me. Not love, not yet, but something like hope. Zaria didn't give up easily. For the next 2 weeks, she continued trying to reach me. Texts that started apologetic and gradually became defensive. Voice messages that ranged from pleading to angry. "I don't understand why you're doing this. You're throwing away something good over nothing. Fine. If you want to be like this, whatever. I miss you. Please just talk to me." The messages made my stomach turn. Not because I missed her, but because I could see the pattern so clearly now. The manipulation, the guilt trips, the way she tried to make me feel like I was the one being unreasonable. I blocked her number on a Tuesday afternoon while sitting at my desk in the bookstore. My finger hovered over the button for a long moment before I finally pressed it, and then it was done. The relief was immediate, like I'd been carrying something heavy for months and had finally set it down. Corinne noticed the change in me almost immediately. "You seem lighter," she said one morning while we were unpacking a shipment of new books. "I feel lighter." "Good. You deserve to feel good, Freya." Salami continued to show up, not in an overwhelming way, but in small, consistent gestures that became part of my routine. She brought me coffee in the mornings, always made exactly how I liked it. She stayed late when I had to work inventory, keeping me company and helping sort through boxes. She recommended books she thought I'd like, and she was always right. We started having lunch together most days. Sometimes at the bookstore, sometimes at nearby cafes. The conversations flowed easily. She asked about my life, my family, my dreams, and she actually listened to the answers. I started asking her questions too, learning about her. She'd grown up in Green Bay, the youngest of 3 sisters. She'd studied library science in college, but had ended up at the bookstore because she loved the feel of independent bookshops more than the sterility of large libraries. She lived alone with 2 cats named Austen and Bronte. "Of course you named your cats after authors," I said, laughing. "What else would I name them?" she replied with a smile. She had this quiet humor that snuck up on you. She'd say something completely deadpan, and it would take me a second to realize she was joking. I liked it. I liked her. One Saturday, she invited me to her apartment for dinner. "I'm making risotto," she said, "and I always make too much. You'd be doing me a favor." I knew it wasn't true. I knew she was making it specifically for me, but I said yes anyway. Her apartment was exactly what I'd expected. Small and cozy, with plants on every surface and bookshelves covering entire walls. The cats, a gray tabby and an orange one, immediately came to investigate me. "They don't usually like strangers," Salami said, surprised. "You must be special." The risotto was incredible. Creamy and rich with mushrooms and herbs I couldn't identify. We ate at her small kitchen table with candles lit between us, talking about everything and nothing. "Can I ask you something?" she said as we were finishing. "Yeah." She hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "How are you doing? Really doing? With everything that happened?" I set down my fork and thought about it. Better, I think. Some days are harder than others. But I'm getting there. I'm glad. "Can I ask you something now?" "Of course." "Why did you start paying attention to me? I mean, we worked together for months before this, and barely talked." She looked down at her plate, a slight flush creeping up her neck. "I've been paying attention to you the whole time, Freya. I just didn't know how to talk to you. You always seemed so contained, like you had walls up that I didn't know how to get past." I did have walls up, I know, and I didn't want to push. But when I saw you hurting, I couldn't just stand by anymore. My chest tightened. "Thank you for everything you've done." "I don't think I've said that enough." "You don't have to thank me." "I do though. You showed up when I needed someone. Even when I didn't know I needed someone." She smiled, and there was something soft in her eyes that made my heart skip. We moved to her couch after dinner, sitting close together with tea. The cats curled up on either side of us, purring loudly. "This is nice," I said quietly. "Yeah, it is." We stayed like that for a long time, just existing in the same space, comfortable in the silence. When I finally left, it was late. She walked me to the door, and we stood there for a moment, neither of us quite ready to say goodbye. "Same time, next week?" she asked. "I'd like that." She smiled, and I found myself smiling back. On the walk home, I realized something. I was happy. Not in the wild, reckless way I'd felt with Zaria, but in a quieter, steadier way. A way that felt real. March came with the first hints of spring. The snow started melting, leaving behind muddy sidewalks and the promise of warmer days ahead. Salome and I fell into a rhythm. Work during the day, dinner together a few nights a week, long conversations about books and life and everything in between. I started noticing things about her that made my chest feel warm. The way she tucked her hair behind her ear when she was concentrating, the way she bit her lower lip when she was thinking, the way her whole face lit up when she talked about something she loved. I was falling for her. Slowly, carefully, but undeniably. One evening we were at a small cafe near the bookstore. It had started raining, a soft spring rain that tapped against the windows. We were sharing a slice of chocolate cake, passing the fork back and forth between us. "Can I tell you something?" Salome said suddenly. "Always." She set down the fork and looked at me, her expression serious. "I've liked you for a long time, Freya. More than a year, actually." My heart stopped. "What?" "I know this might not be what you want to hear right now, and I'm not expecting anything. I just needed you to know, because I can't keep pretending I don't feel this way." I stared at her, my mind racing. "Why didn't you say anything before?" "Because you were with someone. And even if you weren't, I didn't want to push. I've just wanted to be there for you, even if that was all I could be." I felt tears prick my eyes. Salome, you don't have to say anything. I just needed to be honest. But I did want to say something. I wanted to tell her that I was falling for her too, that she'd become the best part of my days, that when I thought about the future, I saw her in it. But the words stuck in my throat. I wasn't ready yet. Not completely. The hurt from Zaria was still too fresh. The fear of being wrong again, of choosing the wrong person, of getting my heart broken, was still too strong. I need time, I said finally, to figure out what I'm feeling, to make sure I'm ready. She nodded, and there was understanding in her eyes. Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere. We finished the cake in silence, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It was just heavy with unspoken things. When we left the cafe, the rain had stopped. The air smelled clean and new. Can I walk you home? She asked. Yeah. We walked side by side through the wet streets. At one point, our hands brushed, and I felt electricity shoot up my arm. When we reached my building, she stopped. Thank you for being honest with me, I said. Always. She started to turn away, but I reached out and caught her hand. Salome. She turned back, her eyes questioning. I'm glad you told me, and I'm feeling something too. I'm just scared. I know. That's okay. Is it because I feel like I'm being unfair to you? Making you wait while I figure my stuff out? You're not making me do anything. I'm choosing to wait. Because I think you're worth it. My chest tightened. She squeezed my hand once and then let go. Good night, Freya. Good night. I watched her walk away, and for the first time since Zaria, I felt like maybe I could trust my heart again. Maybe not today. Maybe not tomorrow. But soon. Over the next few weeks, I spent a lot of time thinking about what I wanted, about what I needed, about the difference between excitement and stability, between passion and care. Zaria had been exciting. Every moment with her had felt electric, unpredictable. My heart had raced constantly. I'd felt alive in a way I'd never felt before. But that wasn't love. That was chaos dressed up as romance. Real love, I was starting to realize, looked different. It looked like Salome showing up with soup when I was hurting, like her remembering how I took my coffee, like her staying late to help with inventory even though she didn't have to. Real love was quiet, consistent, safe. And maybe that was what I'd been searching for all along. One evening, I was at home reading when my phone buzzed. I assumed it was Salome, but when I looked at the screen, my stomach dropped. It was a message from an unknown number. Hey, it's Zaria. I know you blocked me, but I got a new phone. Can we please talk? I miss you. I stared at the message for a long time. 6 weeks ago, seeing her name would have made my heart race, would have made me consider responding, consider giving her another chance. But now I just felt tired. I typed out a response. There's nothing to talk about. Please don't contact me again. I blocked the number and deleted the message. And then I called Salome. Hey, she answered, her voice warm. Everything okay? Yeah, I just wanted to hear your voice. Is something wrong? No, actually, I think everything's finally right. There was a pause. Freya, can I see you tonight? Of course. Come over. I grabbed my coat and walked to her apartment. It was a longer walk than usual, almost 30 minutes, but I needed the time to think, to be sure. By the time I reached her door, I knew exactly what I wanted to say. She opened it before I could knock, like she'd been waiting. Hi, she said softly. Hi. We stood there for a moment, just looking at each other. Zaria texted me tonight, I said. Her expression shifted. What did she say? She wanted to talk, wanted another chance. And I blocked her, because I don't want her. I don't want the chaos and the lies and the constant uncertainty. Salome waited, her eyes searching mine. I want you, I said, my voice steady. I want the way you show up, the way you care, the way you make me feel safe. I'm sorry it took me so long to see it. She stepped forward and cupped my face in her hands. You're worth the wait, she said, and then she kissed me. It wasn't like kissing Zaria. There was no wild rush, no reckless abandon. It was soft, tender, sure. It felt like coming home. When we pulled apart, she was smiling. "I love you," she said. And I realized I'd been waiting to hear those words from the right person. "I love you too." We went inside and spent the rest of the night on her couch, wrapped in each other, talking about everything we wanted for the future. And for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. Spring turned into summer, and Salome and I grew together like plants reaching for the same sun. We were careful with each other at first, both aware of how fragile new love could be, both determined not to rush. But the more time we spent together, the more certain I became. She moved through life with such intention, such care. She didn't just say she loved me, she showed it every single day. She remembered the small things, that I liked my tea with honey but not sugar, that I preferred reading in natural light, that I got anxious in crowds and needed space to breathe. She paid attention in a way Zaria never had. One Saturday in June, we went to the farmer's market together. It had become part of our routine. We'd walk through the stalls, buying fresh vegetables and bread and flowers. Then we'd come back to one of our apartments and cook together. That day, we were at her place. She was chopping vegetables while I stirred a pot on the stove. Music played softly in the background. The windows were open, letting in the warm breeze. "I've been thinking," she said, about us, about the future." I turned to look at her. "What about it?" "I want you to know that I'm in this for real, Freya. Not just for now, for the long term. I want to build something with you." My chest swelled. "I want that too." Yeah. I've never been more sure of anything." She set down the knife and walked over to me, wrapping her arms around my waist from behind. "Good, because I have plans for us." "What kind of plans?" "The kind that involve waking up next to you every morning. The kind that involve building a life together. The kind that last." I turned in her arms and kissed her. "I love you," I said against her lips. "I love you too." We stayed like that for a long moment, holding each other in the golden afternoon light. The smell of cooking food filling the air around us. It was perfect. Not because it was exciting or dramatic or earth-shattering, but because it was real. In July, Salome asked me to move in with her. We were at my apartment, lying in bed on a Sunday morning. Sunlight streamed through the windows, warming the sheets. Her cats had somehow snuck in during the night and were curled up at our feet. "I know it might seem fast," she said, tracing patterns on my arm, "but I hate leaving you at the end of the night. I hate having two separate spaces when all I want is to be with you." I'd been thinking the same thing. My apartment had started to feel empty without her, like it was just a place I slept rather than a home. "I want that too," I said. Yeah, let's do it." She grinned and kissed me, and we spent the rest of the morning making plans. We decided to keep her apartment since it was bigger. Over the next few weeks, I slowly moved my things in, books mostly, which she made space for on her already crowded shelves. My favorite mug, my clothes, the small things that made a space feel like mine. By August, I was fully moved in. It was strange at first, sharing a space so completely, learning each other's rhythms and habits, figuring out who did what chores and when, but it was also wonderful. I loved waking up next to her every morning, loved making coffee together before work, loved coming home to someone who was genuinely happy to see me. The cats accepted me fully now. They'd curl up on my lap while I read, purring so loudly I could barely concentrate. Corin visited one evening and looked around with approval. "This is good, Freya. I know. You deserve this. After everything with Zaria, you deserve someone who actually shows up." "She does. Every day." Corinne smiled. "I'm happy for you." That night, after Corinne left, Salome and I sat on the couch together. She was reading while I worked on inventory lists for the bookstore. "Can I ask you something?" I said. "Always." Did you really like me for over a year before saying anything? She set down her book. Yeah, I did. Why didn't you say something sooner? Because you weren't ready. And I didn't want to push you into something you weren't prepared for. I wanted to wait until the timing was right. That must have been hard. It was. Especially when you started dating Zaria, watching you fall for someone who I could see wasn't good for you. She paused, but I told myself that if it was meant to be, it would happen. And if not, at least I'd been a good friend to you. My eyes filled with tears. I'm sorry I didn't see you sooner. Don't be sorry. Everything happened the way it was supposed to. And now we're here. Yeah. She pulled me close and I rested my head on her shoulder, feeling grateful and loved and completely at peace. Fall came with crisp air and changing leaves. The bookstore got busier as students returned to the university and people started looking for cozy reads. Salome and I fell into our life together. Easily, we had our routines, but we also had spontaneity. Weekend trips to small towns outside Madison, late-night drives with no destination, dancing in the kitchen when our favorite songs came on. She made me laugh in ways I didn't know I needed. She challenged me to try new things, to step outside my comfort zone, to see the world as bigger than just my small corner of it. And I did the same for her. I taught her to slow down, to appreciate quiet moments, to find joy in simple things. We balanced each other. One October evening, we were at a bookstore event. A local author was doing a reading, and we'd both decided to go. The store was packed with people, the air warm and buzzing with conversation. During the Q&A portion, someone asked the author about love. What does real love look like to you? The author thought for a moment before answering. Real love is showing up. It's being present even when it's hard. It's choosing someone every single day, not because you have to, but because you want to. It's building something together that's stronger than what either of you could build alone. I felt Salome's hand squeeze mine. When we got home that night, I couldn't stop thinking about those words. Do you think that's what we have? I asked as we were getting ready for bed. Real love? Salome turned to look at me. I think we're building it every day. Every choice we make to be kind to each other, to support each other, to show up even when it's not easy. That's real love. I choose you, I said, every day. I want you to know that. I choose you too. She kissed me softly, and I felt that familiar warmth spread through my chest. This was it. This was what I'd been searching for all along. In November, something unexpected happened. I ran into Zaria. I was at a coffee shop downtown, waiting in line, when I heard a familiar laugh behind me. My whole body tensed. I turned around and there she was. She looked different. Thinner, maybe. Tired, her dreadlocks were shorter now, cut just past her shoulders. She saw me and her eyes widened. Freya, hi. We stared at each other for a long moment. The barista called out an order and the line moved forward. Can we talk? She asked. Just for a minute. I wanted to say no. Wanted to walk away and pretend this hadn't happened. But something in me needed closure. Okay. We stepped outside into the cold November air. She lit a cigarette with shaking hands. You look good, she said. Thanks. I heard you're with someone now. I am. She nodded, looking down at the ground. I messed up, Freya. I know that. I wasn't ready for something real, and I hurt you because of it. Yeah, you did. I'm sorry. I looked at her, really looked at her, and realized I didn't feel anything anymore. No anger, no hurt, no longing, just nothing. I forgive you, I said. Not because you deserve it, but because I deserve to let it go. She looked up, surprised. I hope you figure out what you want, Zaria. I hope you stop running from things that could be good. But I can't be part of that journey. I know. We stood there for another moment, the silence heavy between us. Take care of yourself, I said finally. You too. I walked away and didn't look back. When I got home, Salome was making dinner. The apartment smelled like garlic and herbs and home. How was your day? She asked as I came in. Interesting. I ran into Zaria. She turned, concern crossing her face. Are you okay? Yeah, I am. It was actually good. It gave me closure. What did she say? She apologized. Said she wasn't ready for something real. And how did that make you feel? I thought about it. Nothing, really. I realized I'm completely over her. That chapter is closed. Salome smiled and walked over to me, pulling me into a hug. I'm proud of you. For what? For healing, for moving forward, for choosing yourself. I held her tight, breathing in the scent of her shampoo, feeling safe and loved and home. I chose you too, I whispered. I know, and I'm grateful every day. We stayed like that for a long time, just holding each other in the warm kitchen, the rest of the world fading away. Winter came again, bringing with it the same cold that had been there a year ago when I'd first seen Zaria at the bar. But everything was different now. I was different. On a Friday night in December, Salome and I were closing up the bookstore together. It had been a long day, busy with holiday shoppers looking for last-minute gifts. I'm exhausted, I said, flipping the sign to closed. Me too. Want to order in tonight? That sounds perfect. We locked up and walked home through the snowy streets, our hands linked, our breath visible in the cold air. At home, we ordered food and settled on the couch with the cats. A movie played in the background, but neither of us were really watching it. Can I tell you something? Salome said, always. She turned to face me, her expression serious. I've been thinking about our future a lot lately. Me too. I want to marry you someday, Freya. I want to build a whole life with you. Kids maybe, if we want them. A house with a big backyard. More cats definitely. I laughed, tears springing to my eyes. I want that too. All of it, yeah. With you, everything feels possible. She kissed me then, soft and sweet. I love you so much, she said against my lips. I love you too. We spent the rest of the night talking about our dreams, about the house we'd buy someday, about the trips we wanted to take, about growing old together. And I realized that this was what happiness felt like. Not the wild, reckless kind that burned bright and fast, but the steady, enduring kind that lasted. The kind built on trust and honesty and showing up every single day. The kind that felt like home. The new year brought new possibilities. Salome and I started seriously talking about our future. Not just vague dreams, but concrete plans. We opened a joint savings account for our future house. We talked about timelines, about when we might want to get married, about whether we wanted kids or not. I think I do, I said one evening while we were cooking dinner together. Want kids? I mean. But I want to wait a few years, build our life together first. I agree, Salome said, stirring the sauce on the stove. I want us to be solid before we add anyone else to the mix. We talked about adoption versus other options, about what kind of parents we wanted to be, about the values we wanted to instill. It felt real, like we were actually building towards something instead of just floating through time. At work, Corinne noticed the change in me. You're glowing again, she said one morning, but in a different way than before. Different how? With Zaria, you were intense, like you were burning at both ends. Now you're just content, peaceful. I am peaceful. For the first time in my life, I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. That's beautiful, Freya. I'm really happy for you. In February, Salome surprised me with tickets to see a play in Milwaukee. It was a small production, an adaptation of a book I'd mentioned loving months ago. You remembered, I said, looking at the tickets in disbelief. Of course I remembered. You talked about it for 20 minutes straight. We drove to Milwaukee on a Saturday afternoon. The play was incredible, intimate and raw and beautifully performed. Afterward, we walked around the city, finding a small restaurant for dinner. Thank you for this, I said over our meal, for always paying attention to the things I care about. That's what love is, isn't it? Paying attention, showing up, making the person you love feel seen. You make me feel so seen. She reached across the table and took my hand. You do the same for me. That's why this works. On the drive home, I rested my head against the window and watched the dark landscape pass by, feeling overwhelmingly grateful. Grateful for the pain that had led me here. Grateful for Zaria in a strange way, because she'd taught me what I didn't want. Grateful for Salome, who showed me every day what real love looked like. When we got home, I pulled her close in our dark apartment. I want to spend the rest of my life with you, I whispered. You will, she whispered back. I promise you will. Spring came again, and with it, a sense of renewal. The bookstore did well. Salome and I both got small raises. We moved our wedding fund into a higher interest account and started seriously looking at houses online. We spent weekends driving around different neighborhoods, imagining our life in each one. A bungalow with a front porch, a Victorian with original hardwood floors, a ranch with a huge backyard perfect for future kids, and definitely more cats. What about this one? Salome asked one Sunday, showing me a listing on her phone. It was a small craftsman-style house in a quiet neighborhood. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a kitchen that needed updating but had good bones, a backyard with mature trees, and a garden bed that was overgrown but could be beautiful with some work. I love it, I said. Want to look at it? Definitely. We made an appointment for the following weekend. When we walked through the house, I could see our entire future in it. Morning coffee on the front porch. Reading in the living room with afternoon sunlight streaming through the windows. Cooking together in the kitchen while music played. A future child running through the backyard, laughing and carefree. This is it, I said to Salome as we stood in the empty living room. This is our house. You're sure? Completely sure. We put in an offer that week. After some negotiation, it was accepted. The closing process took months, but by early summer, the house was officially ours. Moving day was chaotic. Boxes everywhere. Furniture that didn't quite fit where we thought it would. The cats hiding under the bed, terrified of all the change. But by the end of the day, as Salome and I sat on our new couch in our new living room, exhausted and covered in dust, I felt like I'd finally arrived. We did it, she said, leaning her head on my shoulder. We really did. I love you. I love you too. That night, we slept in our new bedroom, in our new house, in our new life, and I'd never felt more at home. A life built on trust and care and showing up every single day. A love that was quiet and steady and absolutely unshakable. The kind of love I'd been searching for all along. The kind of love I'd finally found. I want to talk to you about something I learned the hard way. Something that changed my entire life. Love isn't supposed to hurt you. Real love doesn't make you question your worth or leave you, waiting by the phone at midnight wondering why they haven't texted back. When I met Zaria, I thought I'd found everything I was looking for. She was exciting, unpredictable, full of life. My heart raced every time I saw her, and I convinced myself that feeling meant it was real. But excitement isn't love. Chaos isn't passion. And someone who makes you feel alive one moment and abandon the next isn't your person. I gave her my trust, my money, my heart, and she took it all without thinking twice. Not because she was evil, but because she was never ready for real love. She wanted the fun without the responsibility, the connection without the commitment, and I stayed. Even when I saw the signs, even when my gut told me something was wrong. Because I was terrified of being alone, terrified of admitting I'd chosen wrong. But here's what I learned. Staying with the wrong person doesn't make you loyal. It makes you a stranger to yourself. Then there was Salome. Quiet, steady Salome. She didn't make my heart race. She didn't sweep me off my feet with grand gestures. She just showed up, every single day. With soup when I was hurting, with coffee made exactly how I liked it. With patience when I couldn't see what was right in front of me. Real love looks like that. It looks like someone who remembers the small things, who stays when things get hard, who chooses you not just on the good days, but on the days when you're broken and difficult and not sure you even like yourself. The right person doesn't make you chase them. They don't keep you guessing. They don't take from you without giving back. The right person makes you feel safe, seen, valued. So if you're with someone who makes you feel small, who takes more than they give, who keeps you in the dark while they live in the light, please hear me. That's not love, and you deserve better. Don't settle for excitement that leaves you empty. Don't confuse intensity with intimacy. Wait for the person who shows up, who does what they say they'll do, who loves you not just with their words, but with their actions. I almost missed Salome because I was so busy chasing Zaria. I almost let real love slip away because I didn't recognize it. Don't make that mistake. The right person is out there, and they're worth the wait. They're worth letting go of the wrong ones for. You deserve a love that feels like home. A love that's honest and steady and true. Don't settle for anything less. Trust me, I know the difference now, and it's everything.
I once trusted the shine, thought intensity meant shine. Let momentum call the tune. Lost my balance far too soon. I confused pull with care, called disruption something rare. Didn't know how much I gave to a storm I couldn't save. Some things lift and let you fall, some just catch you through it all. What holds weight doesn't tip, doesn't slip from my grip. No collapse, no disguise, just alignment in my eyes. Now I know what's legit. What holds weight doesn't tip. I kept bargaining my worth, trading calm for something fierce. Thought the ache meant something true. Paid the price in what I knew. Then a presence firm and clear met me without drawing fear. No demand, no pressure play, just consistency each day. No confusion in the tone, no conditions overgrown. Doesn't tip, doesn't slip from my grip. No collapse, no disguise, just alignment in my eyes. Now I know what's legit. What holds weight doesn't tip. I don't need to feel extreme to believe in what I mean. If it's real, it won't divide who I am from how I thrive. I won't shrink or rearrange just to keep someone engaged. I choose ground that doesn't sway. I choose light that doesn't fade. What holds weight doesn't tip, doesn't bend when tested. No alarm, no sharp descent, just a trust that feels cement. Now I choose what fits. What holds weight doesn't tip. I stopped proving, started true. That's the moment love broke through.
Thank you for watching Sapphic Story Hour. Please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, bye-bye.